Full of frustration. Full of despair. From years of hurt, disappointment, and relegation. Two British football fans have had enough. Canary bird Elliot Holman and Wanderer Henry Hewitt are in search of glory, pride, passion, in search of silverware. And they found Major League Soccer.
Yes, let's do it then. Season 4, episode 9 of the MLS UK show. I'm Elliot Holman.
And I'm Henry Hewitt.
Welcome along as we celebrate the end of League's Cup. It's all over now. What a pointless competition that was. Right, guys?
At least you were invited. My team were.
Yeah. Can I be honest?
Go on.
Genuinely, and I would have said the same before, I don't really care.
No, it's. I think you've got the Champions League, which is great, but then this League's Cup and then the Campeones Cup as well. I mean, I know Atlanta have won the Campeones
you
Cup.
have been slightly involved in that in the past.
Yeah, but it's just to create a relationship between Liga MX and MLS.
I don't want a relationship.
I don't know. Let's see how the All-Star game goes in a few weeks. Maybe it's worth it, or maybe we'd be like, just crying out for a European team to play them again.
I really want to beat them in the All-Stars thing. But for me, the Arsenals and Tottenhams and Atletico Madrids are more exciting.
Well, maybe that's because we're from Europe, but I'm sure if you speak to
good point.
the majority of MLS fans, I'm sure they'd say the same. But we'll never know. It could be the start of something beautiful and sort of a proper rivalry where you really want to win.
By the way, do you want my autograph now or later? It's Elliot Holman, international television personality.
Yeah. So Saturday evening, I'm out with some friends. We're having a few drinks, we're celebrating, and we're not celebrating anything in particular, but probably just being out again and being in each other's company. And then suddenly I start getting notifications on my phone, and it was around, whatever it was, 6 o'clock here in the UK, so what, we're talking 2 p.m., 1 p.m. in the States, and it's you in your Norwich shirt on TV. Was it NBC or whoever shows Premier League? Yeah, it spotted.
I think it was on Fox. I don't know if it was on more than one, but I saw people from Fox there filming.
Right.
So it's definitely on Fox, but I don't know about the others. But yeah, somebody uploaded a picture they'd taken of their TV. And is that Elliot from the MLS UK show? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever spoken about the fact that I have that seat, which is like right in the front row of the corner at Carrow Road, and certainly haven't spoken about it in the last 2 years. But so many people message me.
Yeah, well, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll put it up right now. There we go. So that's Elliot on TV.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so now Norwich are back in the Premier League. Whenever Norwich are going to be on NBC or Fox or whatever, keep your eyes peeled because so it's the corner. It's to
the right of the TV, the far corner.
Yeah, so when they're there, you've got a chance of seeing Elliot in his Norwich shirt. Maybe not in December, you'll wear your Norwich shirt. Maybe it'll be a big coat and a scarf, but
maybe a Get In t-shirt.
in December, good luck with that. So I mean, wasn't the result you hoped for?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely worthwhile being there and being on TV.
Can I be honest? I genuinely next week, if we get battered, I'll care. This week, I did not care. Being there, and you've been to see Bolton as well, I know, and I know you were working at Old Trafford as well in lockdown when no one was there.
Yeah.
Just being there was incredible. Like, I think it was 27,000 was there. I know it's not a huge amount. We're a small team in the Premier League, but it was incredible. It, like, gives you goosebumps, like having that first song at kickoff, that roar as well. And they've replayed it on the radio. I heard it on Radio Norfolk on the way back, and it's like, it's so loud. It's ridiculous. Just everyone back together. So good. We lost 3-0.
No, well, like you said, I was at Old Trafford last season, and to be there and lucky enough to be witness no fans in. It's not good. It's soulless. I know some people would have experienced it with MLS, and there's some Canadian teams that have had it this season. But to be back with fans like, I'm going to watch Bolton, which isn't the Premier League, but that's proper football. It's just better, and we're getting back to normal, which is good. And normality is, unfortunately for you, Norwich getting beat in the Premier League. And we also, hopefully, back to normal on the MLS UK show as well. If you watched our last episode on YouTube,
fair play to you.
we're sorry about that. Basically, the focus weren't working, so but you were out of focus for the majority of the episode. If you've not watched it, if you listen on your podcast provider, go and search us, youtube.com/MLS UK show. Subscribe while you're there. Watch the last episode, because I didn't want to just put on just one image, like this is the episode. I kind of wanted to make it interesting for people who were watching it. So we came up with a quiz. We came up with former MLS UK players that you may have forgotten about. There were some fun facts, like, did you know that Vancouver is actually closer to Mexico than Toronto?
Before I watched it, I didn't, but now I know.
Yeah, so you do learn quite a lot. Wondolowski was 2 years old.
Yeah.
Sorry, Caden Clark was 2 years old when Wondolowski did his MLS debut. So stuff like that. So check it out. You hopefully do learn something. And we are sorry about that, but hopefully we made up for it. And hopefully this video has worked. So youtube.com/MLS UK show.
And if you did listen to the last episode, maybe even just on your podcast provider, could you notice that the first 2 times we tried to record and got to 40 minutes, it failed to record?
Yeah, we had an
did it all sound natural?
Absolute nightmare last time. So hopefully, the only problems we've had is it took me 2 hours to get here because of traffic. But hopefully that's the only.
It's nothing in America. That's a standard commute.
It's not. So we're gonna loads to talk about today, Dan. That's just a recap of what happened this weekend in MLS. Yeah. We've also got Henry's Guide to North America. The Crisis Right is back as well. And we'll be looking at the predictions for this weekend. First of all, I want to say thank you very much if you've left us a rating on your podcast provider. We really appreciate that. Few ratings come in, not using the keywords though. We will give you the keyword at the end of the episode. If you put that in the subject or mention it, we will definitely mention you on the podcast. But we appreciate the 5-star ratings, but you'll only get a mention if you put the keyword in. But thank you anyway. We start every episode with the game with a changing name. Now, you texted me about this before.
So excited for this one.
So come on. So it's someone who's played in the UK and in MLS. What's the career path? Come on.
So, we'll read you their career path, and you've got to work out what player it is. I didn't know this about this player. They started their career, their debut, professional debut, was against Bayern Munich in Europe.
Wow.
For Norwich.
Oh, for Norwich. Wow. Okay. It was a long time ago.
Remember when Norwich were in Europe? Me neither, I was 2. So I'll read you their career path. This player started in 93 and they made 49 appearances for Norwich, the first of which was in that illustrious victory over Bayern Munich. He scored 3 goals. Went on loan to Hereford, so...
Oh, right, okay.
Top class. Also Brighton and Hove Albion. I'm going to read you the list of teams because it's very long. So we'll go quick fire. Pay attention. Gillingham, Bristol, Wolves, Leicester, Palace, Stoke, Burnley, Sheffield United, Burnley again, Houston Dynamo, Notts County, Colwyn Bay.
Wow. Well...
Have you got any early thoughts? Do you want to hear them again?
No, we've not got enough time. So if you started in Norwich, probably
93.
93. So I'm assuming their career lasted until... 2008, 2009?
I think, my dad will correct me on this, I believe, and this is just when you recall stories from when you were a kid, I believe their kids went to my dad's school. My dad's a head teacher, principal, if you're in the States.
Yeah.
And I believe they went to his school.
Okay, that will help literally one person, and that's Elliot's dad. Right, I'm gonna have to think about that because I don't know where to start. But
2009, Houston Dynamo, 14 appearances.
Right, okay. If you think you know, get in touch with us at MLS UK Show on Twitter, Instagram, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can just comment below and it'll leave a timestamp where you're up to. As we say every week, if you go to the end and then get the answer, and
we'll
come
know.
Back,
we'll find out.
Exactly. So, let us know if you think you know. Right, we're going to recap what happened in MLS this weekend. But first, let's hear a message from our sponsor, which is actually me and Elliot.
The MLS UK Show.
Yes, this episode is brought to you by soccer90.com. Those guys have got you covered. Every single MLS team is represented on there. Go and get your merch right now. Soccer90.com. There's also some of the biggest teams in Europe, which does make me think that new Norwich away kit, it's going to be on there soon.
Well, that would be the biggest teams in Europe, plus Norwich. If you are a fan of PSG, like if you want some new merch because of Messi signing, or the big English teams, you're talking Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're all on there.
Bolton.
Not quite. If you, at the checkout as well, put MLS UK, you'll get an extra 25% off.
You don't need another reason, surely. Soccer90.com.
MLS UK Show with Elliot Holman and Henry Hewitt.
So it was another busy weekend in MLS, and we're going to start from the back and go to the front. So, and that's mainly because the last match of the weekend finished 6-2.
That's
and
true.
The first match ended 0-0. So the first match then we're going to talk about Portland 2, Seattle 6, Cascadia. What a game this was. If you were going to put this in a coaching manual, you're probably going to do it as a good use of attacking rather than defending. Although I've got to say that, I mean, if there were some really good saves, they just then were putting on the rebound quite a few times.
Yeah, it's dominance from Seattle, and especially against a rival as well. The Seattle fans have got to be absolutely buzzing with that result. I know there's been Portland fans going, you don't need to talk about this game on the podcast. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We kind of have to. I questioned Seattle. I asked you about Seattle in the last episode, and I said, even if they have a wobble, are you confident? And this is why they really have such class.
They do, yeah. I mean, even the first two goals were great. From Freddie Montero scored them both, and it's like a great example of what he can do. He's a poacher. He gets in on the rebound for the first one. Second one cuts inside, puts it in the top corner.
So it's not all about the young guns, is it?
It's not, no. And I mean, that would mean so much to the Seattle fans, but also Freddie Montero as well. He's one of his first, if not his first, Cascadia match back in Seattle colours, and yeah, 2-0. I mean, Portland came back to make it 2-2. But I liked as well, actually, that did you see that for the first goal, Blanco's goal for Portland, they were actually talking to Rodney Wallace, who was on the sideline, and he scored, and it's kind of like, oh, should I carry on talking to you? What do I do?
Portland's latest signing, by the way, Rodney Wallace, got a one-day contract so that he could see out his career at Portland. Yeah. And took all the attention away from their goal.
No, yeah. So, I mean, such a great cameo for the one day. So that made it 2-1. Then it was 2-2 in the second half. 3 minutes later, Seattle they got the third goal. Great Rui Diaz free kick.
Such a great free kick.
And then they didn't look back, did they?
No, this is the thing. And I think that's the moment where, when Portland come back into it, it can go either way. And I think this is where we see the class. We keep talking about Portland just being on the edge of the playoffs, and when are they going to make that stride? And we've not seen it yet, because Seattle just went on to dominate that game. Yeah,
and to be honest, you look at Portland, scored 2, and okay, they've conceded 6 goals, but and maybe they could have reacted better to some of the shots that got pushed away. The American commentators called it a stale ball. Do you know where you're coming in on the rebound? So we've not heard
stale
that.
Ball.
Yeah, we've not heard that in the UK.
So if there's a shot on frame and it's saved,
yeah, it's then a stale ball. It's anyone's ball. But yeah, I don't think they necessarily played that bad. I just thought Seattle was so dominant, especially that last half an hour. And I mean, Rui Diaz scored 2. He's now scored 13 this season, but that was outshined. He was outshone by his teammate, Jimmy Medranda. What a goal this was.
The thing is, right, the goal of the season competition for MLS this year is incredible. Have we ever seen a season like that? We're not even halfway through?
No, most of them are Seattle as well.
Yeah, this is true, yeah. Some of these goals are unbelievable, and the talent in MLS level, I've seen it played on Sky Sports News here in the UK over and over and over today. The coverage is getting bigger and bigger, and it's such a massive thing for us to see over here. For me to turn on the TV when I was waiting for you and see that goal played on Sky Sports News, I'm thinking, yeah, MLS has arrived in the UK now.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the goal, it's best described. Well, it was a corner that came in. He's hit it first time on the volley. It's hit the bar and got it. And Paul Scholes scored a few of those in his career for Man United. And it was just an incredible finish. It didn't touch the ground until it hit the bar and then bounced behind the line. My favourite part of this was the commentators. And Stu Holden was the summariser. They were speechless for about 5 seconds. They they just sat there, and then they sort of reacted to it again. So brilliant finish. That made it 5-2.
Question for you.
Go on.
Is it a better goal if it doesn't hit the crossbar and go straight in?
I think goals look better when they hit the crossbar and go in and you're bouncing. It just gives it that little bit of an edge.
Yeah, I have to agree. Paul Scholes-esque, as you say.
Even if it's from 2 yards, if it's a cross that's coming in at 2 yards and they've nearly missed it, but if it hits the bar and goes in, it just looks better.
You did it on purpose.
Yeah. So 6-2. Seattle, they did drop down. LA Galaxy went top for a while, so Seattle now back in second in the West. Portland are in 7th. Portland's still in a playoff place. We have said before we expect them to be in the playoffs. But, what more can we say? Seattle were dominant.
Yeah, and obviously, since we've done the last podcast, Seattle got a point at home against Dallas.
Yeah.
And then a win in the League's Cup as well, which is against Tigres, which is you can't knock that as well. Yeah. So these guys are flying at the minute. And for me, I know it's a battle between themselves and SKC, who we'll come on to, but you have to look at Seattle and just your brain that has the history of MLS just says Seattle win this season.
Yeah, it does. And Seattle, we said at the start of the season, they lost the MLS Cup last year, and good teams bounce back. We see it in the Premier League. Man City they don't go 2 years without not winning the league.
No.
Man United never did in the 90s as well. This Seattle team, if they will be pushing, they'll be desperate to win it again this year.
And if you are interested in the stats of most wins and maybe who's finished bottom the most, then stay tuned for the Christ is Right little game for you later on.
It makes its return. Right, so much to talk about this weekend. Even on Saturday night there was. I know Red Bulls fans are interested to hear what we've got to say about what happened in their game. But on Sunday, there were 4 matches. 2 of them had a total of 15 goals in them. The other 2 had 2 goals in them. Would you like to have a guess at the 2 games that I watched on Sunday night?
It's definitely the lowest scoring ones because you brought the curse to them.
Yes, it was. The other high scoring game, Nashville 5, DC United 2. And I mean, this was what a game this was as well. Nashville looking good again at home. They're in 3rd now in the East.
Yeah.
DC opened the goal scoring, and then Nashville just hit back. And we're saying it about Seattle. It's what good teams do. You can't knock them for too long.
Yeah, I love seeing that. I've said this before. I love seeing Nashville do well. They're fairly young in the grand scheme of things in terms of time in MLS. And of course, we're looking at Austin and saying, can they get better? Nashville already for me doing way better than Cincinnati have. Who have had a longer time. And, when it comes to Nashville, 4 points in 3 games, as you say, 3rd in the East, maybe not quite challenging NYC and NE-Revs, who we'll come on to in a bit, but they're there on merit. And this is a really good Nashville side.
DC, okay, they've lost 5-2, but still, they're doing well. They're 6th in the East, and I'd fancy them to carry on this form, carry on the Lasada ball, and get into the playoffs.
They know what they're doing. I like that we can see the way they're trying to play, and when you have an identity and it's beginning to work in MLS, when you're maybe playing a team that's going to have to rotate a lot midweek, and that's always going to win out. Having that identity and sticking to it is always going to win out in MLS. It's always going to get you to the playoffs. So 100% backing them there.
Chicago 1, Columbus 0. Chicago 2 wins in a row now, 4 unbeaten since you had something to say about them on the podcast. So on behalf of Chicago fans, carry on doing that because they seem to be reacting to it. Columbus though, they've lost the last 4. Columbus have conceded 12 in the last 4 games. That's half the goals they've conceded this season have been in the last 4 games. What is happening there?
And since we've done the last podcast, that's 3 in a row. Lost the last 4 and. You kind of look at them and you think this is make or break for me because this can go one or 2 ways. We've seen this before. It's either a massive collapse or actually they'll just go, all right, fine, we're going to go and win our next 6 on the trot. This is a real sticking point. It's going to go one of 2 ways. I don't feel like it's going to go badly for them. I just feel like there's been a lot of games, there's been a lot of congestion. Like you say, 3 games since we last did the podcast. Yeah. I know they've lost them all, but they could easily go and win the next 3, 4, 5. And you're back up there. I kind of feel like their roster's too good. Caleb Porter's too good to let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, we have got to point out that this stage of a season, this year as well, with international tournaments happening, and especially with the US and say Mexico, they're going quite far, and with Copa America, there are a lot of teams that have been affected by that. And we kind of see that because there's teams who have done really well in the last few weeks and teams that haven't. Columbus haven't, but you'd think now that we're getting back to normal. It should be all right. So Columbus, yeah, I'd still fancy that they're making the playoffs. They've lost the last 4, they've conceded 12, and they're still in a decent position, to make a playoff push. So it should be okay.
They lost the last 4, but we'll come on to a team in a bit who are winless in 12. So Columbus fans, it ain't all that bad.
No, it could be worse. Although I've got to say, for LAFC fans, it does feel for them that it is worse at the moment. It's not good what's happening at LAFC.
Losing to Atlanta, that's bad.
I mean,
that's
a
bad.
great win for Atlanta.
That's
Josef scored again, 3 in a row. But LAFC, I mean, obviously Segura's injury hasn't helped them. I just feel that, for me, they've just never replaced Zimmerman, and it's no surprise that now
Nashville are up there and LAFC are struggling.
They're struggling, yeah. The defense isn't really performing. Up front, I know Vea's been out for a year, so he's still really edging his way back. Rossi's been not been in for the whole time as well. It's just not clicking at the moment for LAFC. But do you see it where you say Columbus, it will click? Is it going to be the same for LAFC?
I don't know. I feel like this is a real test for Bob Bradley, if I'm honest. And I know this is a real established American coach who knows exactly what he's doing. I know people have got their opinions on him, but he's had success at LAFC already, plus a lot of success in the past. So this, for me, is a real test for him. Can he get that roster that is, let's be honest, has been well assembled to really perform, really turn things around and make a difference? Because so far it's looking a little bit iffy this season. You start to wonder if they're even going to scrape into the playoffs. Yeah,
for those watching on YouTube, by the way, the reason Elliot just looked over them was because a spider was coming down from the roof, and my first thought was, that's going to be in shot, and that's going to be over my face, so I've just got rid of it.
You're such a brave lad.
Yeah, I agree with you. The ironic thing for me with LAFC is that they're kind of going down the same avenue that Atlanta did.
Yeah, well, I was going to come on to that, and I didn't want you to think I was winding you up, but I was being serious. You're exactly right. I think they're in danger of being that glamour side that does really well, and then actually, we're in a bit of a mess now. But the roster's way better than Atlanta's for me on paper, so I don't know quite if you can use it as an excuse like Atlanta.
I think that they haven't replaced, like Atlanta, I don't think they've replaced the MLS names, the seller ones. I know Mark Anthony Kay's just left, so it's a bit harsh to pin that on them, but they're at like Zimmerman, there's players that were in there that were, I think every squad, you need that MLS experience. I think that's what has been Atlanta's downfall, is that, they've got players that have been there since the start, but they're bringing in players from South America. MLS is a unique league, and you need to have players that are used to it. I think that's been the problem with LAFC. However, for me, when you look at Atlanta and you think De Boer, Heinze, I've agreed with them going. I don't think Bob Bradley's under the same amount of pressure because of that MLS experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think he just needs a couple of wins to turn things around. It's not necessarily all his fault, of course. It's just an opportunity for him to really, get that team by the scruff of the neck and say, right, we need to turn this around. So I'm more interested to see. I think it's a real test for him, which we haven't particularly seen because they've had such a good roster and they've had it, almost seems like they've had it so easy. So yeah, I'm intrigued by that. And yeah, like you say, there's certainly no calls for him to depart yet.
No, they're 8th in the West now, LAFC. Not winning 6 though, and lost 4 of those. So they need to turn it around quickly, or else, they're going to find themselves mediocrity. But we have said before, is the West maybe isn't as a competitive league this season. LAFC will probably still make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be pushing Seattle, SKC, and the teams at the top. But you'd still fancy LAFC will be able to pull something out the bag to get in the playoffs.
I just don't think we're expected to see them battling it out with the likes of San Jose to scrape into the playoffs. I think, as the season progresses, we keep saying every time, we're like, they'll be up there, they'll be up there. They're still not up there. Yeah. How long can this go on?
No, that's true. So we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to Saturday evening then, it's time to talk about the game. It was full of drama, and it wasn't drama until the 90th minute. Montreal beat our Red Bulls, RBNY, 2-1. Now, Red Bulls went to 1-0 up for a penalty. Ibrahim scored, 18-year-old, first goal for Montreal, which is great to see. He made it 1-1. And then we get to injury time. And, there's so many questions I want to ask here. First of all, what's your opinion on the penalty? So, for those who haven't seen it, it was one of those where Tarek's gone sliding in. The Montreal players kind of cut it back, and it's hit Tarek's arm. It's out as he's sliding. What is that a penalty, or is it harsh on Tarek?
Depends what we're using to define if that's a penalty. For me, sitting here week in, week out, middle of the week, stupid o'clock in the morning on a Sunday and a Monday, I've seen him given all season.
Yeah.
So yes. Should it be a penalty is another question. Yeah. But in terms of consistency, I don't. You can't complain because we've seen them given so many times. I've seen some pathetic penalty decisions in the last couple of years. Not all handballs, of course, but I think you have to look past that. When we're going to talk about this bit, I don't believe there's enough in it for it to not be a penalty.
Yeah, I'm with you. We've seen him given. I thought it was harsh because he's gone. I mean, you could argue, and we saw
definitely harsh.
We could argue. Well, you've seen with the Montreal when they give the penalty away to RBNY, you shouldn't really be sliding in the area anyway. No. So especially in the last minute, but it was given. But that wasn't the last of the drama because O'Connell saved the penalty for Red Bulls, but he came off his line. They went to VAR, retake it. Then they retook it again, and he saved it again. But then they go to VAR, check it, and he's come off his line again. They changed the penalty taker 3 times before Wanyama eventually scored, which he nearly missed. Cornell got his hand to that as well.
Saved it.
Here's a question for you.
Ask me, right, you know what I'm going to say. Ask me any question about keepers coming off the line. You know exactly what I'm going to say.
It's not about that. Should Montreal have had the same penalty taker for everyone?
Do you mean legally or tactically?
Well, legally. Tactically, I guess I can understand because they've had 2 who missed, so they're going to give it to someone else. But legally, should that be a thing that if a penalty gets retaken, it's got to be the same guy?
It's a good point. I hadn't even thought about it. It didn't even register to me that there was a problem with them changing the kick taker. It's not their fault. It's been retaken. That's
a good point.
So maybe, and it's horrible retaking a penalty as the spot taker because it's like, do I go the same way? So I think that's okay. I know there's people shouting at me while they listen to this, but I think if the keeper saves it and look, I only use the word cheat. It's not cheating, but you know what I mean. They've broken the rules to save the penalty. It is effectively cheating. Then you should be able to retake it.
Yeah,
with whoever you want. Why should you be the one under pressure because he's done something he shouldn't?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It was just a thought, that's all. So I thought, well, I'll put it out there. To me, it's one of those. I think if it goes for you, then great. Montreal fans are saying, no, he should have...
I get why you'd be annoyed.
Red Bulls fans maybe are a bit more like, well, he should have had the first penalty taker. But, I mean, he would have had 3 goals at it anyway in the end. So, yeah, that was... the funny thing is as well that the referee, I think he blew for full time after the second penalty. So Red Bulls are kind of celebrating a well-earned draw at Montreal. Then they go to VAR. In the end, there was like 10 minutes of stoppage time when I can't remember how much had been actually given. I'm sure it was like 4.
Yeah.
So, the drama of MLS, of course, we've had this before with Orlando in the playoffs last year. And we've seen that VAR, especially across Europe, is being simplified this year. However, from a neutral point of view with MLS... If we can have more of these, please, because it is exciting. I don't mind.
I don't know if that happened in the Premier League and it was retaken, I still wouldn't have a problem with it because it's a rule.
Yeah.
I think there's a massive interpretation between a difference in interpretation between what rules need changing and what VAR looks at needs changing. For me, if you've decided that the keeper has to have a foot on the line when that kick is taken, and then he doesn't have a foot on the line, well, you can't be annoyed at VAR.
No.
Because it's against the rules.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen that, first of all, where have you been? You've been living under a rock. But catch it. The highlights are on the MLS YouTube channel. Have a watch of it, because it's fascinating. It's brilliant. It's why we watch MLS, because this sort of thing happens. and Montreal got the win in the end, so 2-1. A little less drama then in the let's see, where should we go next? I'll tell you what, let's go to the start of Saturday evening then. LA Galaxy went to Minnesota, won 1-0. They've won 3 and 4 now, and they were at the top of the conference for a bit. They had a bit of a inconsistent sort of June time, July, but I mean now 3 and 4, top of the conference. To me, I still would fancy Seattle to win that conference, but LA Galaxy is showing that they're sticking around, which is more than what they've done in recent years.
Yeah, 2 wins and a draw since we last did a podcast. That's solid. You're going to take that as great MLS form. That is the bottom line. And, they find themselves up there. For me, 100% in the playoffs. I bizarrely don't look at them in contention for the top spot. I don't think it matters, and I don't think LA Galaxy fans will care either. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to have a really, really good chance. Can they get a 6th MLS Cup?
I think maybe it's a season too soon, but we know MLS, and we know that
prime Chicha in the MLS Cup.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Well, hopefully he'll get back.
He's having none of it.
No, I'm just saying, I think it's a season too soon. They need to show that they can make the playoffs and go far in it this time, and then have that stability for next year. I think they've lacked a bit of stability and in recent years, and that's why they haven't pushed. I know they got beat to LAFC in one playoff year, and that was probably the closest they've been in the last 4 or 5 years. But it's good to see. We've said it before, LA Galaxy, they're one of the star names in the league, so it's good to see when they're doing well at the top of the league. We're trying to have people in this country in particular watching MLS, and if they see LA Galaxy at the top, there's a lot more credibility to it, unless if you've seen them at the bottom. So good win for LA Galaxy. Minnesota first defeating 5, but still 5th in the conference. They probably what we expected. We will expect them to get the playoffs. Only the 4th game in 18 that they've not scored this year, Minnesota.
Really?
Yeah. NYCFC 2 into Miami 0. Castellanos got both the goals. He had a bit of a dry spell.
Back on it.
Yeah, he's back on it now. 8 goals this season. He scored a Panenka. Do you think he's doing that in the middle of June when he's not been scoring
Absolutely
goals?
not. No, we've seen them go very, very wrong, haven't we? Looking at you, Vancouver. No, I think... didn't we have an episode called The Risky Panenka?
We did, yeah.
Excellent title. NYCFC, they look in great form, and they look like they're really challenging any Revs. I said it in the last podcast, they needed to win those games in hand that they had. For me, a really good side. Really good side, especially attacking. I don't believe, bizarrely, and I don't know, it's so bizarre to say this, but I really think New England Revolution they've already won it. And I never thought I'd say that, because they've been so bad in the years that we've been recording this podcast. It's weird to say that in August, but I can't. They just look so assured.
Yeah, I mean, 43 points already? I think, are they 12 above the teams behind them?
Top by 12 points. They played 2 extra games.
But still, I mean, that's impressive. And you look at that sort of chasing pack. NYCFC are playing well. Nashville are. Orlando are doing well as well. So there's some good teams in that. And any Revs they just smashed it. I mean, we move on to their game. They went to Toronto 1-2-1, and they're showing what we said it last time. They're doing what they need to do to win games. Toronto, Osario equalised with 10 minutes to go. Gustavo Bo, they go up the other end, he scores a penalty to win the game, and that's what good teams do.
Is that assured? That's what I'm saying. They're so assured. The belief that they're going to go and win games and that they can do it is unbelievable. And they just, I can't see that they're the same club that we were watching a few years ago. It is bizarre.
It's the beauty of MLS, though.
I love it. I love it so much. It's so good.
TFC, bottom of the East. They've struggled. Since being back at BMO Field, I've seen a lot better performances from them. Okay, they're playing any Revs. I mean, we can't judge them too much because any Revs are playing so well. I've got to say as well, the amount of times we've seen top v bottom in a conference, and the team at the bottom win. So credit to any Revs.
It's not just that game, though, because they played Philly and New York as well, Toronto. Yeah. So I know they're bottom, and I know it's not been a good season. I'm not making excuses for them, but since we last did the podcast, that's 3 tough games that they've had. You can't really be judging them on Philly, any Revs, or NYCFC.
No, I don't think Toronto are going to finish bottom. Personally,
only bottom by 1 point.
Yeah, and when you look at Inter Miami and how unpredictable they've been, I mean, they've been poor for the majority of the season. You would think that Toronto would finish above them, or at least one or two of the sides down there in the East. But is it too much now for Toronto to turn this around?
Playoffs?
Yeah.
Not for me. Don't look good enough.
No, that's a fair comment, and I couldn't argue with you on that, to be honest. Moving over to the West, then SKC were off the top of the West for a few hours. They went back up. They beat FC Dallas away 2-0, which is a good result. FC Dallas have been doing all right.
Yeah, and beat LAFC 4-1 as well, which is a really strong result because we've just talked about how good the LAFC roster is, and this is why LAFC are where they are. Is because they're meeting the big teams and they haven't got an answer for it. And SKC looking really assured of themselves. Obviously lost in the Leagues Cup, but got a win against Dallas as well. So for me, really strong.
Yeah, you look at the West, and whereas we just said there, any Revs, they've got the chasing pack with them in the East, but you would say that they're probably going to win Supporters' Shield, but they're definitely going to win in the East. The West to finish top is hotting up, and there's a few teams in there that could do it. Yeah,
100%. You've got to look at New England for me, but yeah, as we said, Seattle, SKC, Galaxy potentially as well. It's really interesting, and there's some really good teams and some really poor teams, and they're not the way round that you expected either. I didn't expect to see Toronto bottom.
No, exactly. And another team that you've said you were surprised to see so high up, they have sitting quite comfortably in fourth at the moment in the West. Colorado, they went to Houston, won 3-1. Boubacar opened the goal scoring. Pico got the equaliser from the penalty spot, but then Colorado, for me, I mean, they got the 2 goals. They dominated the second half. A strong win again for them on the road. We like a broken record. We're saying it every time we do a podcast, but they keep on impressing us. Yeah,
and it's time for the compliments they deserve, to be honest, because I think we've looked at Colorado throughout the season and gone, is it going to last? Is it going to last? They've started to show that they've got that resilience. They are consistent. The consistency is so hard to come by in MLS, but they really have been consistent. And it's time that we start talking about them making the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs now. And we're maybe not used to it, like we've said about New England, seeing them do so well. In the time that we've been watching MLS, I know that they've been around a long time in terms of the league and its history. But in terms of us, we're not used to it. And I'm here for it. I like it. I love seeing things get mixed up.
Yeah, well, it seems like, especially Series 1 and Series 2, we were just saying like, oh, Colorado could surprise people because of the trades they've done and the business. It never worked out. That second goal, Anthony Kay passes it to Barrios and he scores.
Yeah.
That is an example of good recruitment that they've done this year. This is why they're fourth. They've got that MLS experience, good players who have done it before. And it's clicked for them. I think they're doing really well under the manager. They ended last season really well. So credit to them, and it's good to see. And I mean, Galvin's goal as well, rounded it off, was a brilliant goal.
Remember the Anthony Hudson days?
Oh, yeah, we do. We do very well.
It doesn't seem that long ago.
No, it doesn't. So they're sitting comfortably in fourth now. Houston, 5 points off the playoffs in 11th, but I think we both agree they're probably going to stay around there.
Yeah.
RSL beat Austin 1-0. RSL move into the playoffs. Austin, I mean, rock bottom. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games. In those 5 games, they've not scored.
I'm surprised.
Were we bigging them up too much because of the fan base, because of 1 or 2 of the signings? Did we kind of forget that they are a new team?
They are a new team, but I don't feel like I expected them to be bottom. I think that roster's good enough. It's one of the best rosters we've seen assembled for a new side. And so I know that, we've got a bit of a chemistry issue and they need to gel a little bit, but I definitely expected more from Austin, I'll be honest. I am a bit disappointed.
Well, we'll see how we do for the rest of the season. We're not making playoffs. I think we can both agree on that. But again, as we said with Colorado, if you can get a strong end to the season, it can just give you something going into next year. The final game, which was on Friday evening, we can't really say much about it. San Jose 0, Vancouver 0. That's all I can say about that, really.
Elliot Holman, Henry Hewitt, MLS UK show.
So it's that time of the show where I take you all on a little tour of a certain state, city or region, as we found with New England, that has an MLS team. So last time we did LA, found loads of stuff about LA. Even the coroner's office in LA has a gift shop. So this time, I did say on the last episode I was going to put this out on Twitter, but then when I had a look at the places we've got left, we've not got many left, but we did have 2 from Texas. So in that case, I thought, well, this time we'll do Henry's Guide to Houston.
Famous, of course, for country bangers like this.
Well, going off some of the famous people from there, maybe not, but we'll find out in a sec because first, hey Elliot!
Hey, Hannes.
Did you know that Houston is the 4th largest city in the US with a population of 2.3 million?
No, but I did know that one of that 2.3 million is a girl I went to school with.
Really? Well, she came from Houston to Norwich? Or
No,
she went the
she's
other way?
moved over there.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, don't blame her either.
Well, that would explain why there's 145 different languages spoken in the city, because as we know, Norfolk in the UK has its own language. It's very difficult for those who are not from the area to understand.
All right.
Yeah, it's very farmer, isn't it?
Farmer.
The city of Houston is so big that just the metro area of the city is actually bigger than New Jersey.
Wow.
More than 10,000 restaurants in Houston, as you can imagine, with so many people living there. And on average, a Houston person, a Houstonite, I think they're called, maybe.
Maybe.
They eat out on an average 4 times a week.
Wow. No wonder she's moved over there.
Yeah. Named after Sam Houston, the guy who led the battle for Texas's independence from Mexico. And in 1837, within 4 months, the population went from 12 people and a log cabin to 1,500 with hundreds of homes.
Wow.
Within 4 months. There's an underground pedestrian walkway system that links all the blocks together. It's 7 miles long. This was originally built by a theatre owner that wanted to link his 3 different theatres in the city.
So it's like when you have to, in London, when you have to walk from one tube to the other, but just without the tubes.
Yeah, basically.
Makes sense.
It's of course home to NASA's Mission Control Center, which is why they say, Houston, we have a problem.
And they really have got a problem at the minute, to be fair.
Yeah, the Dynamos do. And because of the NASA links, that is why their baseball team was called the Astros. They were called the Colts, I think, but they changed it to Astros to link in with that.
And because of the NASA link, their affiliate team is Orlando.
Is it?
No.
I was like, that's not on my list. We love a weird museum on Henry's Guide to North America. Houston is no different. It has the Museum of Funeral History.
Is that 2 funeral mentions in 2 weeks?
It is, yeah.
Excellent.
Famous people from Houston include Beyonce, Kenny Rogers, Hilary Duff, Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Garner, Jim Parsons from Big Bang Theory, Travis Scott, and Machine Gun Kelly.
Beyonce, Travis Scott, Machine Gun Kelly, famous, of course, for their country music.
I don't know, maybe one of them weird Beyonce albums that she's released is linked to that. And finally, there is a beer can house. Yes, you look at me perplexed. John Milkovich started the project in 1968 and for 18 years started covering his house in the beer cans that was left over from what him and his wife drank. The house was eventually covered, get this, in 18 years with 50,000 cans.
Wow.
I think a few people helped him out as well, but that is the beer can house in Houston. Google it. It looks amazing. And that, Elliot, is Henry's Guide to Houston.
Famous, of course, for... Oh, no, it's not famous for country music, is it? When are we doing Nashville?
Last one. Whenever that is. I need to have a proper look at what we've not done, but I think Dallas we've not done yet. Toronto we've not done. Chicago we've not done yet. So there's some big places still to do.
Okay.
Right. Well, in recent weeks we've been doing Free Lies on the show, but this week it's come back. It's your favourite. It's my favourite. It's everyone's favourite part of the show. It's the
it's
not quite
not
guide to.
It's the return of. No, it's time for this. The Jason Christ is Right. Henry Hewitt, please come on down and play our higher or lower game. Henry, Toronto FC are currently bottom of the Supporters' Shield standings. A bit of a shock, I think we've already agreed. However, I thought I'd take a look at the teams who have finished bottom the most since 96.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to start with Toronto. How many times do you reckon they finished bottom of the standings?
Now, we've said that we've only really been watching MLS for about 4 or 5 years, and Toronto have been really good in that time. But before that, they were awful, apparently. So I'm going to say 3.
It's 2.
Ah, okay.
So Toronto have finished bottom of the standings twice. Higher or lower, Colorado.
Oh, Slightly higher, and that's just based on the fact that they've been in for a long time.
I agree. I would have gone higher as well, but it's lower.
Oh.
It's only once,
Okay.
which is decent, isn't it? Only once in the time that they've been in. Higher or lower than once? New England Revolution.
Oh, now they want to be OGs. So you're talking 25 years here. Surely in 25 years, they've been more than once. So I'm going to go higher.
It is higher. It's only twice, though, which, again, fairly impressive. Higher or lower than twice? DC United.
Higher. They must have done it a few times. In the last 10 years, a few times. I'm going to go 3.
It's 4.
Is it?
Yeah, 4 times.
So, but they have won it
I believe one of them was a tie, but still.
They have won it quite a lot. So you take the wins with the defeats.
I think this is quite tough, this one.
Okay.
Because it's a team that have been in there for a long while.
Yeah.
And they've not been always great.
No.
Chicago. Higher or lower than 4 times?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that 4 times is probably the highest amount of times. So I'm going to go lower.
It is lower. It's 3.
Oh. There's still time this season.
Higher or lower than 3 Columbus, an original 96 team?
Yeah, but I think lower.
It is lower. It's 1. Only once.
Okay.
San Jose, higher or lower than 1?
2. I'll go higher.
It's double, yeah. 2. Yeah,
I'm getting them actually spot on. Normally I'll just higher or lower and have 50% of a chance of being right, but I'm throwing it out now.
All right, then show off. Higher or lower than 2? Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Oh.
yeah, Firefox in now.
Lower. 1.
It is 1.
Yeah,
no.
Yes.
Right, okay. Cincinnati, higher or lower than 1?
2. Higher.
Yeah, and Orlando City, higher or lower than 2?
2. 1.
Yes, he's spot on.
Yes. Oh, this game. I needed a break from Crisis Right to become really good at it.
Yeah, that's annoyed me, that.
So it's time to have a look at what's happening this weekend in MLS. Now, you may remember on the last episode that Elliot finally won a round of predictions, which we were all shocked about. And that meant it was 3-1 in the series so far.
Go on, give me the good news.
Elliot, last time, you lost. So it's now 4-1. 40 points to 20 I won. It was a bit of a walkover. Remember, if you're new to this, we have 5 points for a correct outcome. So if you say, Orlando win and they win, you get 5 points. If you say they win 2-1 and they win 2-1, you get 10 points. Only one correct result last time. I got it. It was Inter Miami 2, Nashville 1. I predicted that. But other than that, yeah, you...
I don't even check these. You could be completely lying to me.
I could be, but there'll be someone out there who checks them as well. So I would love to... I'd love to do that and completely murk you off, but no. It's I can't do that. Right, so there are some matches in midweek. We'll only look at this weekend's fixtures for predictions, but just to run through what's happening in midweek on Tuesday evening, we've got LA Galaxy versus Colorado and San Jose versus Minnesota. Then on Wednesday evening, so this is Thursday morning here in the UK, Atlanta v Toronto, New England versus DC, Cincinnati versus Montreal, Miami versus Chicago, Philadelphia versus New York City FC, Red Bulls versus Columbus, Dallas versus Seattle, Kansas City, or SKC as we should say, versus Portland, Nashville versus Orlando.
Come on, the Purple Men.
Big game, that. Good. Come on, the Yellows. Austin versus Vancouver, and RSL versus Houston. So some really juicy games.
And Dallas versus Seattle.
So if you are in the UK, if you're an MLS fan, quite a few games there to keep you up, to look forward to if you need an excuse to maybe ring in sick on Friday morning. Or Thursday morning, I should say. It's right, so let's have a look at this weekend then. It's Friday night / Saturday morning.
3:30 a.m.
It's the Cali Classico, LA Galaxy versus San Jose. How do you see this going?
2-0. Sorry for that horrible noise my mouth just made. 2-0 to LA Galaxy.
I can't go against you on this one. I think LA Galaxy, with the form they're in, I know San Jose are prone to a bit of an upset, but I don't see it with this. I think LA Galaxy will win 3-1.
Okay. How about Saturday night, Minnesota versus SKC?
big game, this. Tough game. I think Minnesota, after losing to LA Galaxy, will want to show that they can do it against the teams in form in the conference. But I can't go against SKC.
No.
I think it'll be another 1-0.
Yeah, I'll go 2-1 to make it interesting.
Columbus versus Seattle, a repeat of MLS Cup, but this time at a different stadium, the Lower.com.
Yeah, if you're Columbus and you're really looking to turn your season around, this is not the fixture you want, particularly, is it? This is difficult. I'm going to go Seattle.
Right.
I'm going to go 2-1 Seattle. I know it's an away win, but they're just a bit of a force, aren't they?
They are a force. I think Columbus will get something out of this game. I think it'll be 2-2, but that is... I was tempted for Seattle. You do fancy Seattle, but I'm just going to go 2-2 because I believe Columbus will turn it around. DC versus Atlanta. This is early on Sunday morning, 1 a.m. here in the UK at Audi Field.
God, I hope DC win. 2-1 DC.
I think someone's a little bit nervous now Atlanta have won a few games. I don't think they'll win this one, though.
I'm not. I'll be honest, I'm not.
I don't think Atlanta will win this one. I think it'll be, 2-1 to DC.
I'm about as nervous about Atlanta as I am Miami, and Miami are playing Toronto. So you have to feel like they're going to win. I'm going to go 2-1 Miami.
This is a tough one to call. I'm
going home advantage.
Yeah, I'm doing this on home advantage as well. Miami have shown in recent weeks, they've shown something.
They've got more about them than Toronto at the minute.
They win that against Nashville, point against Philadelphia, some good results in there, especially at home. So I'm going to go 3-2 actually.
Okay.
Miami.
How do you fancy a New York derby while we're at it?
Yeah, that'll be it's at Red Bull Arena, so NYCFC.
That doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It could still be NYCFC at home.
I think the NYCFC they're used to that ground. They're used to the stadium.
I don't think that's an away game anymore.
No, I think they're playing well as well. So I'm going to go. I think it'll be 1-0 NYCFC.
Yeah, I'm going 2-1 NYCFC.
New England versus FC Cincinnati.
I mean, I'll dare you to go for a Cincy win here. 3-1 New England Revolution.
Yeah.
No, 3-0. 3-0. Sorry, Cincy.
Yeah, I'm going to go... I'll take you 3-1 then. I was going to say I don't see FC Cincinnati scoring, but to make it interesting, I'll take your 3-1. Orlando v Chicago at the Exploria.
Now, you mentioned earlier, we sort of glossed over Orlando, and you said, Orlando fans will be happy. I don't think Orlando fans are happy. And I think this is a sign of where we're at the minute.
You expect too much. Remember where you come from.
I think we do. I think this is the thing with Oscar in charge, the roster he's built. I don't think it's been good enough recently. Too much rotation. So it's kind of like, what teams are you going to pick after they've played in the week? What teams is he going to pick at home to Chicago? I can't even decide until I see whether he's going to take it seriously or not. But I'd like to think we get the win. So I'm going to go 2-0 Orlando. Foolishly.
You've persuaded me to not go for Orlando win. I think Chicago playing well. I think 1-1. You've had a few sort of draws at home, haven't you, recently? So I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Houston. Oh no, did we miss one? Yeah. Philly versus Montreal.
That's the one, yeah. Philadelphia at home, Subaru Park. I've got to say they'll win. But, I mean, Montreal are doing okay this season. They're doing well, better than what I thought they would. So I think 2-1 Philadelphia.
1-0 Philly.
Houston, FC Dallas.
Yeah,
game.
I can't pick a Houston win after they've lost all those games in a row, or gone winless.
Yeah,
all those games in a row. I'm going to go Dallas. Narrow 2-1.
You know what? It's the time. They've got to win at some point.
Oh,
2-1.
Okay, 2-1 Houston.
That's basically all I'm basing it on is they've got to win at some point.
Okay, that's fair, and they're at home. RSL are away at Colorado.
I'm going to go Colorado win. Derby match, but a Colorado win. I think 2-0.
I'm going for goals.
Oh, yeah?
4-2.
Wow. Austin v Portland.
I'm going for goals. 3-0 Portland. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Austin... I know they scored 3 against Houston, but as you just pointed out, a lot of teams scoring against Houston at the moment.
Yeah.
But Austin, they just need to sort up front out. It's not happening. So I can't see them scoring against Portland. Portland have got a lot to prove now. I think they'll go there and win, but I think it'll be 1-0.
Okay, I'm going to go for a draw in the final game, which is Whitecaps versus LAFC. I'm going 2-2.
Yeah, normally we'd go for an LAFC win in this one, but Vancouver have shown that. I mean, they went to Galaxy and drew, didn't they, recently?
Yeah.
So, they've shown they've got a bit more about them. I actually think Vancouver will win this 1-0, I think they'll go and win. Right, well, before we do another episode, we've got the All-Star game, which we spoke about. So this is Wednesday, the 25th of August. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, so it'll be Thursday morning here in the UK. What do you... I mean, we can't really predict really anything from this, but what are you hoping for? Like, because there's a big rivalry with Liga MX and MLS, and I know they're trying to make it into a friendly rivalry, but what can MLS show to the watching continent, really? Because all of North America will be watching this. What are we hoping for?
For me, it's about the youngsters. I think there's too much of the likes of Nani being picked, great, but it's all about, for me, it's the youngsters that we talk about episode after episode. Who are breaking into teams and being looked at by clubs in Europe. I think this is where MLS has to make it stand and say, do you know what? It's not about this retirement league anymore. So I don't want to just be relying on all the old designated players in this. I know it's mainly who's been picked, but we've seen that actually these All-Star games can go one way or the other. I don't know if we're going to win, but I'm hoping that we get to see as many of the players that are on that roster as possible.
Yeah, I think for us watching when they normally play a European team, you can kind of gauge it a bit better. I don't really know Liga MX that well, so I can't really say, oh, they've got these players compared to MLS. But you just hope that I hope MLS put on a good show. I think a disaster would be if half time we're losing 3-0. That's then because you look at Liga MX, they're always winning the CONCACAF Champions League. You just feel like in terms of history and sort of quality that MLS are kind of just behind a little bit. So I think this is a great opportunity for them to go, no, we are good and build on it, and and who knows, but. I'd like to see MLS win. I'd like a good show. It's Bank of California Stadium. I've waited 12 months for this, so I hope it goes really well for that. And let's hope they put on a good show. If they get beat heavily, then it'll be disappointing. Yeah.
Also, the kit's not for me. That shirt's not for me.
No,
not a fan.
Right. Well, that's nearly it for today's show. I'm going to be honest with you. The game with the changing name, the player. I don't have a clue who it is.
Okay, so they started their career at Norwich City in 1993. They made 49 appearances. They also played for Gillingham, Bristol, Wolves, Leicester, Crystal Palace, Stoke City, Burnley, Sheffield United, Burnley again. They went to Houston Dynamo, which is why they are an MLS UK player. And they also played for Notts County and Colwyn Bay.
In Wales? I don't know.
It's Adi
Akinbaye.
Oh
wow! I didn't know he played at. I didn't know he played at Norwich. I didn't know he played at Houston. Wow!
14 appearances for Houston.
How many times did he score for Houston?
None.
Yeah, he didn't score many in England either. Well done if you got that right. A big well done, because I didn't have a clue about that one.
And looking at his senior career stats, well done to his agent as well.
Yeah. Right, well, that's it for today's show. The keyword, if you if you leave a review on your podcast provider, leave the keyword phrase this week, because you were on TV at the weekend.
TV in America.
The key phrase is, hi mum, I'm on the MLS UK show. So if you leave that one, you leave a review, either put it in the sort of message you can do, or the title, leave us 5 stars. You will get a mention on the next episode of the MLS UK show.
Hi, Mom.
Thank you. Give us a rating. As I said, like and subscribe on YouTube. It really does make a difference. Share it to all of your friends, and good luck to your team this weekend in MLS.
Yes. Fingers crossed for plenty more rockets as we see the race for the goal of the season hotting up. That's your lot, though. So I'll say Akin, bye.
And I'll say Akin, see ya.